What is going on, guys? I hope you're doing well, and today we have a deck profile for the blue purple Kaido. So the ability is for 1 dung during your turn, once per turn. When your opponent's character is KO'd, you add a card from your down deck and set it as active. So this is a pretty powerful ability, especially for this type of deck, which your main goal is to ramp up and be able to play your big Kaidos. So yeah, so if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe and leave a like if you are also testing out the blue purple Kaido, and leave in the comment what are the cards that you use for the deck. Let me know if they're similar to the list that I will be showing. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so for this deck, first card that we have is 4 law blockers. Nothing much to say about that. 1 cost for 1000 attack, and it's a blocker. No counter, that's the only downside of this card, but for 1 cost, it's a very useful card. And one of the reasons why I run 4 of these is because, again, it only costs 1, so you can combo this card with a lot of cards in the deck. So this will be used mainly to protect yourself while you attack with either other blockers or other attacks. And yeah, so that's a pretty good wall, and for cheap. And yes, of course, I know there's a lot of cards I can destroy it easily, but they'll have to use the resource for it. So that's why we play 4. And the next card, and which is why I enjoy playing the blue purple Kaido, is Perona. So we have here 4 Peronas, and I guess I might as well put the next card, which is for Doflamingo. So here, this is the main engine of the deck. One of the reasons why I wanted to explore the blue and purple Kaido is because of these cards. The purple Kaido, one of the biggest flaws is the inconsistency of the deck. If you don't have Onigashima, it becomes a really hard deck to play, because you have to manage your resources and make sure to survive the aggression of your opponent. But with these cards, it makes everything easier. So with 4 Perona, 1 cost, 2000 attack, you don't use her, or at least 99% of the times you don't use her for the attack, you use her for the ability, which is on play. You look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck and place them at the top or bottom in any order that you want. And this is very good to get your Onigashima. So we'll see the number of Onigashima that we run, but usually in every deck we run 4. And with Peronas and Doflamingos, you have you increase the odd of getting the Onigashima on your first turn with Perona, or at least on your 3rd turn with Doflamingo. So yeah, so Doflamingo, it's 3 and 4000 attack and has a counter of 1000. So not only does it have the same ability as Perona, but it's also a blocker. So this is very powerful if, for example, you miss out on the Peronas, you play Doflamingo, and yes, you lose a turn for when you could use Onigashima, but you have the blocker to protect you at least for 1 turn. So that is why this card is insanely good. So that's it for these 2 cards. So for the next card, and this is an obvious one, and if you haven't seen the deck profile of the full purple Kaido, I'll leave it either in the link below, or like I'll try to put it like on top here so you can check it out after this video. But yeah, There I explained the reasons for the Who's Who's, and I will explain it again. You need this card, in my opinion. Like, this is a card that initially I did not put in my deck, and the moment I put it in, made a lot of the matchups a lot easier. And one of the matchups is the green matchup, because the 3 or less cost cards of the green deck are very annoying to deal with, and this just clears them off. So I'm not gonna go much into details, because I will post a matchup analysis with the blue-purple Kaido deck eventually in this channel. But yeah, like, I don't need to explain it a lot today, because you have, like, 3 cost, and then for 1 down on play you KO a 3 or less character, and the trigger, like, the trigger can save your life a lot. So this card is very good against the aggro players for the green matchup and the red matchup. So very useful, and I highly recommend that you put 3, at least 3. 4 might be a little bit too much, but 3, I find it's a good sweet spot for the deck. And the next card is Sasaki. So Sasaki is here mainly for when you miss out on the Onigashima. So, like, I don't have to say it, and like, even if we have this ability, it's easy to play around it for your opponent. So you need cards that will help you ramp up if you can't do your ability and if you don't have Onigashima. So Sasaki serves this purpose, and not only it serves this purpose with the ability of 1 down when attacking, you may trash a card from your hand and you add a down from your deck and you rest it, but it also has 2k counter. So you increase the number of 2ks that you have, because you will have to have a lot of counters to deal with all the aggression of the other decks. So this deck answers all of these response to the threats that we have against those matchup. So yeah, that's why this card is there. And then the next one is Boa. So Boa Hancock, I'm gonna move it a little bit here. So yeah, so for Boa Hancock, so for 4, 5,000, 1k counter, we have a blocker, and a pretty good blocker at that. And for 1 down when attacking or on block, draw a card if you have 5 or less cards in your hand. So if you've played this deck, you know that it's easy to have a few cards in your hand. So this card becomes really, really important. And one of the reasons why I put 4 laws in the deck, in addition to that, is this is one of the little combos that I told you at the beginning with law. It only costs 1 to put an additional blocker on the field. So what this allows you to do is to just use the ability here to attack and draw a card. So you can actually use Boa Hancock as an attacker, since you have a small blocker like this. And yes, it's a risk, I understand. This is just a 1 cost, it's easy to get rid of, but still, your opponent will have to use the resources to get rid of that, and then to get rid of this. So when you need a card, this is very good to use, or you can CP use it during your blocking phase. So either way, very good card. And yeah, this allows you to draw through your deck through the stacking of the abilities that we saw earlier. So really, really good card. And the next one that we have is 2 Mihawk. Initially I had it to 4, and I decided to reduce it to 2 because I realized most of the time I don't really play this card at all. I just use it for the 2k counter, and instead of having 4 of these for just 2k counters, I might as well put other cards that are 2k, like the Sasaki, and that I will actually use because it has a purpose for this deck to ramp up. And yes, this ability is really good. Like for 1 down, when attacking, you draw 2 and you trash 2. But like I said, we have Boa Hancock, which allows us to drop and not discard any card, which is, in my opinion, a lot better. But this is there primarily to increase the 2k counter, but also maybe on the rare occasion we put it on the field and just an extra body to attack. And then the next one is X Drake. X Drake, in my opinion, even though it's not the best card in the purple arsenal, it's still a very useful card. And I think every purple deck should run 4 of these, not only because it has 2k counter, but it's a 5 for 5,000 attack, which is pretty decent. Yes, there's a lot of ways to get rid of it, but if it sticks on the field, you can do a lot of damage with this card. And the on-play effect, which I am a big fan of, on-play effect, for 1 down that you put back in your deck, your opponent has to trash a card from his hand. So this is very good, especially if you're able to be super aggressive early on. So he uses all the counters in his hand, reduces his hand size, and then boom, you drop an X Drake, he has to discard another card, further decreasing his hand size. So it's a very good additional like control aspect, disruption, and yeah, and if you don't have the opportunity for that, it's a 2k counter, so why not, right? And then the other one that I have is Queen. Queen, I put him at 2. Initially I had him at 4, and we all know, like, Queen is probably one of the best blocker in this game, but one of the main reasons why I decided to put it at 2 is because it costs a lot. It's a 5 cost blocker, which is, yes, it's very good. On play effect, for 1 down you draw 2 and trash 1. It's super powerful, especially if you have like an extra Onigashima in your hand and you just toss that out, and then like you just gain +1 for drawing. So incredibly good. But I wanted to test it out. I did a few games with only 2, and it was still pretty fairly consistent, especially with the 4 Perona and 4 Doflamingo, that I didn't see the necessity to increase it to 4. And like I was saying, it costs a lot, so I wanted to try to focus on having the opportunity to do small combos or fill my field with small bodies, small blockers like the Doflamingos, the Hancock, and the Laws, and or have the ability to play like a blocker and then Who's Who, and do small combos like that. And yeah, so that's why like I decided to put it at 2. So far I find that it works. And let me know if you find that it's too little of Queen, but I think for now it's pretty good. Then the next one is King. So King, from the starter, like I don't have to say why it's good. Any card that destroys a character is very good, especially with the ability of Kaido. So this, in my opinion, is the better King for now in this format, because it allows you to destroy a 4 or less, which is very good, especially with the rise of the Dofi leader deck, the blue one. So like everything that he plays, it's a 4 cost, so you want to have enough of these to be able to go against that deck. But and also one of the reasons why I prefer it is because it's a 6 cost and you only take away 1 down. So the contrary, for this King, which is 7, and you take away 2 downs, yes, you get to destroy 2 characters, one that's 3 or less and the other one that's 2 or less, but it often happens that you cannot use both of these abilities. You cannot destroy two characters using that effect, because it comes to a point where you're not going to see a lot of small bodies, and you will want to like increase the destruction capability of the king. And obviously, yes, I know, like even during late game, you will have characters that will or your opponent that will put like one cost blockers and all that, so this is very useful. But I'm talking like in general, I see a lot more use for the 6 cost king. So that's it for these. And then we get 2 Decados, and I think this Kaido for this deck is a lot better than the other one, and this is why I put it at 3, because I think this Kaido is the winning condition for this deck, and it compensates well for the lack of the ability of the full purple Kaido. So basically, we all know what it does: 9 cost, 10k, and for 5 down you destroy a 6 or less character and it gains rush. And one of the reasons why I say it's a winning condition is because with this Kaido, you're able to play 2 Kaidos in a row, obviously in a different turn, but yeah, so like once you get to 10 with the ability, and then you play this 9 cost Kaido, you will get back to 7 downs on the turn that you play it. So the next turn, when you have 9, you can play another one. So normally dealing with just 1 is a lot, so imagine dealing with 2 in a row. It's insane. So that's one of the reasons why I like this blue and purple Kaido, and this is why I think adding 3 is the bare minimum. Like, I am thinking of putting a 4th one just to make sure that I at least get 2 throughout the game, so that I can pull off this combo. But for now, 3 seems like a good amount, but we'll do more testing and then we'll see what's the perfect number. And then for the last character, obviously we have the Kaido 10 cost. I think it's very important to have this, even though I don't think it's as good as people say it is, because it's just because it's a 10 cost and there's nothing you can do afterwards once you play it. So you have to play it at the right time, and when your opponent has a whole board and not a lot of cards in his hand. Because if he has a lot of cards in hand and you just destroy his board, he's just gonna fill it up again, and you're just gonna have a 12k Cairo, and that's it. You won't have much, and you're gonna be in a dangerous position when he's gonna have a full board afterwards. So yeah, so 10 cost, 12k attack. For 6 down, you wipe up all the board, even yours. So this is good, especially against green decks. So that's why we have 2. Alright, so for the events, or no, for the stages, sorry, we of course have 4 Onigashimas. I think it's very, very, very important. Even if we have the Peronas and the Doflamingo, I still think that we need to have 4. I tried to do it with 3, but I was still missing Onigashima. Like, playing a game without Onigashima, when you have 4 Onigashimas, 4 Peronas, and 4 Doflamingo, or I should say like 3 Onigashimas and then 4, and you still miss it, it's like, no, like, we need to optimize this. So we put it at 4, and we have cards to make us discard these cards. So we have the Sasaki, and we have the Queen and the Mihawk to be able to discard the extra ones that we have. So yeah, 4 Onigashima and you should be good. And then for the events, pretty straightforward. We have Blast Breath, and then we have Love Middle. So Blast Breath, like I think for purple, any purple deck should have 4. That's the bare minimum, and I think it's one of the best event cards counters. Like for 1 cost, and then for 1 down that you put back, you gain 4,000. And then for the Love Velo, it's good because it lets you draw a card. So since you're able to stack up your deck, you can combo it pretty easily with this. So you activate this and then you draw the other counter that you will need to survive the attack. So yeah, pretty straightforward, and I think these should be good enough. So that's it for the deck profile of the blue purple Kaido. I hope you enjoy, and sorry it took a little bit too long to go through the deck, but yeah, so this is my list that I will be playing at my local tournaments. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, and before I forget, I started a podcast with one of my friends. The podcast name is Hungry for Loki. I'll leave the logo here, and I'll leave the link in the description below, so make sure to check that out if you want to hear us talk about TCG, manhwas, anime, mangas, and all that cool stuff. And yeah, so go check it out. So yeah, so thank you for watching this deck profile. I hope you enjoy. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more deck profile, and go check out my purple Kaido deck profile also. And yeah, leave a like if you are a fan of Kaido, and leave in the comments below your suggestions. Like, this is still in the testing phase. I know there's a lot of things that I can improve, so let me know what you think, what you would change, and your recommendations, and I'll see if I can test them out, and maybe eventually I'll put an update. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.